Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the other side of the corner. Welcome to your latest Chelsea news, Chelsea transfer news, Chelsea everything. Premier League fixtures are out and everyone's got a heart on. Everyone is so excited about the Premier League fixtures. Why? Why so excited? I mean, oh no, we've got these people, we're facing these teams in the beginning. Oh, we're facing these teams in the end. I mean, how could you care about it right now? We don't even know what everyone's team's going to look like until the transfer window closes. I mean, we don't know what type of form we're going to be. We don't know how the form of our rivals are going to be. I mean, what does it even matter? What does it even matter? So we're going to park this for a second because for me, I know a lot of people are very excited. For me, I just can't seem to get too excited about what the Premier League fixture looks like for next season. There's so much that needs to happen prior to that. And it's still, it's still quite a while away, to be honest. It's in August. So, look, before that, lots to talk about. We've got gentleman's agreement for Petrovic. We've got some I keep thinking Nicholas Anelka. No, Nicholas Jackson. We've got some Nicholas Jackson conversation that we need to have. Maybe Unai Emery, who once upon a time used to know Nicholas Jackson, could potentially go to Aston Villa. We've got some Morgan Rogers news to talk about as well, and a whole heap of other bits and pieces that we need to talk about. Alfie Gilchrist, you remember? I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys will know the cricketer, Adam Gilchrist. No, that's not who we are talking about. And Alfie Gilchrist definitely is not related to Adam Gilchrist, the great Australian legend. But yeah, we've got some news in regards to Alfie Gilchrist as well. Looks like he'll never play for Chelsea Football Club ever again. Now, first up, gentleman's agreement, ladies and gentlemen. Gentlemen. I don't know how much of a gentleman we really are or we have been with Petrovic, but apparently it's a gentleman's agreement. I still don't think Chelsea haven't been gentle at all in this whole scenario. There is a gentleman's agreement for the sale of Petrovic if a club bids 25 million for Petrovic. This is coming from Simon Johnson of The Athletic. I'm still baffled, man. I'm still baffled. Look, there is a notion that's going around on social media that when is it the right time to sort of start saying, do you know what, maybe Sanchez isn't as bad as we think, because he produced some good games right at the end of last season, 5 or 6 games, 6, 7 games, whatever you want to say, a handful of games. And now, he's started again in the Club World Cup. I still believe he made some stupid moves in the first game against LAFC. But a lot of people are saying in social media, when is the right amount of time where we can start saying maybe Sanchez has become a really good goalkeeper? Look, for me, I don't think a few games does it. You'd have to see at least good 12 months worth of good conduct. If I'm being absolutely honest, you need to see minimum 12 months of good conduct before you can start deeming Robert Sanchez being back. Until then, look, we're not going back to Mike Mignon. Seems like after, now the window is open again. I don't know if we're going to go back to him again. We definitely didn't go to him prior to the Club World Cup starting. We did go to him, but we didn't meet the valuation. Now it looks like we're not going to go back to him. I thought if we're not buying a goalkeeper, because we got quite a few, that Petrovic would have been a shoo-in, off the back of what Petrovic did last season, right, for Strasbourg. But now it seems like we're adamant. We're adamant to let him go, and there is a gentleman's agreement to let him go for 25 million. And for me, 25 million, wow, that's cheap, I get it. It's Petrovic. Like, what were we expecting? I thought maybe at least 30 million, 35 million for a goalkeeper that seems to be on the rise. If anything, like if you're not going to buy a goalkeeper, you might as well just kept Petrovic and see how he would have done as a number 1 goalkeeper. But Chelsea see a good opportunity to let him go and cash in, cha-ching, on Petrovic. So there's some rumors that he could potentially be sold to Strasbourg, which is our club anyway. So I don't know, man. Some mad stuff happening with Petrovic, but the bottom line is he ain't going to be representing Chelsea Football Club, that's for sure. He may still be employed under the Blue Coat, but he's definitely not going to be playing for Chelsea Football Club. That seems to be the current scenario, the current consensus right now. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts about 25 million gentleman's agreement for Petrovic. How you feel about that? Next up, Aston Villa are ready to enter discussions to try and tempt Nicholas Jackson away from Chelsea and reunite him with Unai Emery. Coming from Give Me Sport. Look, generally I don't give 2 cents about Give Me Sport, but Simon Phillips is quoting all of this, and then these guys don't generally go out there and just quote on anything nonsense, because there is a lot of nonsense. They generally put out the news when there's some credibility, and I feel like maybe Simon Phillips knows something in the background in regards to Nicholas Jackson. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Nicholas Jackson, right? A lot of people commented off the back of that match against LAFC. Now, this comment right here, what I'm about to make, is specifically for LAFC. We're going to then talk about in details about Nicholas Jackson, what he did last season that just finished, right? And also the season under Pochettino. The match against LAFC, for me, he didn't do enough. I know he produced a good assist for Pedro Neto, but overall, Pedro Neto still needed to do a lot. It was a good pass, but even prior to that, there was many occasions where the touch was poor, the decision-making was poor. Yes, there was a header that he had a chance in the second half. Sure. Or was it in the first half? I think it might have been in the first half. But overall, I didn't like what I saw. It didn't give me striker vibes. It didn't give me a confidence that, yes, this is what we can move forward with again next season, along with Delap. When Delap came on, I truly, honestly felt his movement, his decision-making, his execution was a lot better as a striker. Now, you could sit there and say, nah, Miz, you're just hating on Nicholas Jackson, this, that, the other. Okay, let's put away LAFC then. Let's not talk about LAFC anymore. That was just my thoughts on LAFC. Let's talk about Nicholas Jackson in a holistic manner. I have always said, I like Nicholas Jackson. I'm probably the only one. If you look at the all-you-can-eat Chelsea mob, right? There's myself, Matisse, Yunus, Javon, Baba. I'm probably the only one out of that, and probably one of the very few in the fan base that has said, I like Nicholas Jackson's skill set. There's things that you like, that you can easily like about Nicholas Jackson. His ability to carry with the ball, his ability to at times link up. You see the chemistry that he has with Cole Palmer. You see the way he works off the ball, presses well, drops down deep at times to collect the ball. So there are things to like about. Then there are things that are glaring flaws about his game. His shooting technique is off. We saw what he did against Newcastle last season. That people's elbow that he dropped, the people's elbow on that Newcastle defender. And there's been many moments where he's missed gilt-edge opportunities, right? So we know there are major flaws, and those flaws were there in the first season, and they've been there in the second season, and now we're moving into the third season. Has he developed a little bit, though, since the first season? Of course he has. I think he has definitely developed, but it's still not enough. I keep repeating this. My perspective for Chelsea Football Club is, for the upcoming season, is to compete to win the Premier League. It's going to be difficult, of course. Is it a little bit ludicrous to think like that? Yeah, but as a fan, I want to see my club get back into title contendership, not just in the Premier League, but in the Champions League. It's up to us, the way we want to do our business. We're back into Champions League, but no, we still want to get those kids. So don't blame me for, having standards of trying to compete in the Premier League. Blame the club. They want us to believe that we're not ready and we can't be ready. We need to buy more kids, right? So when I think about that, we need to win. I just can't think that Nicholas Jackson again next season, along with Delap, is the answer for us to have that winning formula or competing to be a serious contender for the Premier League and the Champions League. I have no issues if we want to keep Nicholas Jackson, no problems, but it cannot just be Nicholas Jackson and Delap. We do need to bring in another striker, a well-rounded striker, which, once again, we're not linked with, right? We're not linked with. So from that perspective, I don't think Nicholas Jackson is is the answer. That's the bottom line. So if there is a situation where he may be sold, I could understand that. I could believe that. And this is what it's saying. Aston Villa are ready to enter the discussions to try and tempt Nicholas Jackson away from Chelsea and reunite him with Unai Emery. I've got no problems with that. I don't mind keeping him, but I've got no problems, and I understand why we might want to part ways, because maybe this is the peak. This is the highest level you're going to get out of Nicholas Jackson. Maybe this is the time to cash in on him. Maybe there is no higher ceiling than this. So if that's the case, no problems. But if we are keeping him, we have to add someone on top. We just have to. We cannot go to next season with Nicholas Jackson and Delap being the main strikers to drive Chelsea Football Club. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts. I'm very keen to know your thoughts about Nicholas Jackson and the holistic assessment that I just made. Or do you still believe in him? Do you still think, nah, you know what? He will drive us to a title glory. Let me know. Chelsea want a different profile to Jackson and Delap and have subsequently removed Benjamin Sesko off their list, because Cesco, they're saying that he's very similar to Delap, which, okay, fair enough. No problems. I've got no issues. I don't want Cesco. When you've got two victors available, Kudus and Osimhen, yeah, I don't want that. And a lot of people have issues with that. A lot of people are, there's a reason why they don't go after Kudus. No one's going after him. I'll tell you what the reason is. It's got to do with the finances. It's got to do with the release cost. It's got nothing to do with the player himself. All of a sudden, no one rates Kudus. All of a sudden, no one rates Osimhen anymore. These guys are bona fide strikers, man. They're going to bang in goals. They just will. Anyway, we're not linked with them. That's just my personal preference, but we're not linked with them. We don't want to be linked with them. We are going for youth. So, look, don't be surprised if we go after, it's not going to be Cesco. If we go after that player from Frankfurt, Nick Watermaid, I think that's his name. And also we've been linked with Ekitike. Now Ekitike could be still heavily linked with Man United and or Liverpool as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Chelsea will be opportunistic for Rodgers should he genuinely become available, but Villa are looking at other exits to satisfy PSR. West Ham are looking to sell Kudus for less than his 85 million release clause, but it's unclear whether anything will develop. Look, Kudus conversation, I'm just going to park it. I just don't think we're going to do that, even though I think we admire him. We have admired him for a while. Whether it happens or not, it will depend if we can send some players to them. But this Rodgers one, this has been floating around. Now, Morgan Rodgers, I don't know if you guys have noticed, he's been flirting around with Chelsea footballers on social media quite a lot. Now, this could probably materialize, there is a social media post on Instagram that's done the rounds. I think PYS has it on his profile, on his page as well. Morgan Rodgers is a very interesting one. Now, where can he play? He can play out wide as well. Generally likes to play in those half spaces. I don't see Morgan Rodgers as an out-and-out winger. That's what Enzo Maresca generally wants out of our wingers, wants wingers wide. We don't want all the wingers to just sort of occupy those half spaces. We want wingers that can be wide and then, take on their subsequent defenders. That's how I see Rodgers. I see Rodgers more sort of in that half space, that number 10 kind of role. And we seem to now have, too many. Cole Palmer, Esteval, all want to operate in that role. Rodgers, is he also going to be part of that? But maybe he can be utilized out wide, and maybe, Maresca could change his system, his philosophy a little bit for next season. But do keep an eye for Morgan Rodgers. I like the player, though. I definitely like the player. Morgan Rodgers is the real deal, man. He's a top player for Aston Villa. Works his backside off. Robust, got pace, got physicality, got good technical ability. Got it all as a footballer. Got it all. Can score goals, can assist goals. Very, very important player for Aston Villa. Aston Villa obviously wouldn't want to get rid of him, wouldn't want to lose him, but PSR seems to be a problem. So let's see. I do feel there could be an opportunity here, that Chelsea might pounce on, and I think Chelsea are looking into this. If a situation arises, Chelsea might get in on that. So yeah, watch this space in regards to Morgan Rodgers. I think if something comes up, we may be going for it. Yeah, these are the type of players that can play in multiple roles. So Chelsea like that kind of a player. As I said, I still don't think he's an out-and-out winger, but I think he can definitely do a job. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, Alfie Gilchrist will leave Chelsea on permanent deal this summer. There's strong interest from Championship with several options being considered. So look, it would have been nice to see that if he had some sort of a future, but I knew from the get-go when he was first given an opportunity under Pochettino that this kid, look, he's got a lot of energy, he's got a lot of good vibes about him. Obviously, Chelsea academy player, but that's about it, man. That's about it. Look, let him start from Championship, and maybe down the track we've got a knack of buying our players back. We're linked with Mark Gee, and I'm sure if Alfie Gilchrist does well down the track, we'll have some sort of stipulation in his contract where we can buy him back. You never know. So, but for the time being, I don't think he has a future with Chelsea, and he will be sold, and he will be sold to someone from the Championship, and maybe that is his level for the time being. It was nice for the little bits and pieces that we saw of Alfie Gilchrist at Chelsea Football Club in his in that Pochettino season. It was quite exciting. Now, last but not least, Premier League fixtures, they're out. And I kept this for the last because it really doesn't mean much to me at the moment. Honestly, because we don't know what the teams are going to look like before the transfer window closes. And we don't know what the form is going to be like. We don't know how everyone's preseason is going to be looking like. So it's a lot of question mark. But we start things off with Crystal Palace. We then go to West Ham and Fulham. And in September, we go to Brentford. So our first 4 games are in London. So that's a blessing in disguise that we don't have to travel much off the back of this Club World Cup. Maresca has said players need 4 weeks off. So we're going to come back quite late in August, well, quite late into the season starting, just literally a couple of days, few days before the season starting. Season starts for us on the 17th of August. And I believe our first game so far is scheduled for the 8th of August, and the next game's for 10th of August. And I don't think we're going to have many more games prior to that, because if Club World Cup finishes and we go, let's say, at least bare minimum quarterfinals, we ain't finishing until at least first week of July. And if you then give us 4 weeks of holidays for these players, which they do deserve, right, then they're not going to be back anytime before that. So look, that's our fixtures. In September, we've got Man United and Brighton. And then in the December period, we've got Leeds, Bournemouth, Everton, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Bournemouth. We've got 3 home games, 3 away games. December period, always tricky. Don't forget, throw in Champions League football in the mix of all of this. And the final fixtures, ladies and gentlemen, in May, Nottingham Forest away to Liverpool, Tottenham Hotspurs, and Sunderland away. 2 away, 2 home in May. And I hope by then we've got something good to look forward to and not having to fight for top 4 again. There's another piece of information that's flying around that the last two times where we've had to play Sunderland right at the end in the final fixture, we actually ended up winning the Premier League. So could this be the third time lucky again? Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts. If you are excited about the fixture list, then let me know why you're excited, what gets you going, what are you looking at in the fixtures, first 5 fixtures, final 5 fixtures, December fixtures. Let me know your thoughts. We have a nice, entertaining discussion about it. Smash up the like button if you're here for the first time. Subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Till next time, take care. See ya. Bye.